Like the immigration system used to be a point-based system in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So we established, or we would attribute points based on certain attributes like education, experience, age, family conditions, like you have children, are you married, are you single? All these things would create a ranking, and you needed X amount of points to be allowed to immigrate to Canada. And ever since the Liberal government came into power in 2015, what was once probably the pride and joy of immigration systems in the world, it used to be emulated, looked up to. The US used to even talk about how good our immigration system was, has now turned into a floodgate of like a shit show, if I dare say
Absolutely.
such a thing, right?
Well, there's also all the fraudulent documentation. A lot of these new immigrants in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of them come in with fraudulent documentation. I actually have a statistic. New data from the Department of Immigration shows that Canada is now host to a staggering total of 3 million temporary immigrants on both expired and valid permits. That's 1 in every 13 people living in this country. That's a pretty interesting statistic. That 1 in 13 people are
Not
temporary
illegal, but
immigrants.
temporary, right?
Temporary immigrants on both expired and valid permits. So some of them are illegal
Some
because,
of them, yeah.
as a result, if some of them are on expired visas, then they're not allowed to be in this country anymore.
Well, have you seen the degree farms? The how do they call it? They call it like the visa farms in Ontario, right? So you have these fake colleges that are sprung up, and they only cater to one demographic, which is oftentimes Indian immigrants, but immigrants from abroad. And their entire purpose is to allow these immigrants to get study visas to come to Canada. And then once they're within Canada, well, guess what? They don't really attend any school. They're not getting any degrees. And then oftentimes, they'll have children, tedder babies as they're called. And this is something that was brought up recently. Some members of parliament are actually talking about perhaps introducing a law that would amend the Naturalization Act to remove the ability for domestically, so for Canadian born, but to
Foreign parents.
foreign parents from naturalizing, right? They want to bring it to a point where at least one parent needs to be
I
Canadian.
think that's the Conservatives that want to push that.
Or even make it so that if you're on a temporary permit in Canada, then it doesn't apply to you. If you're a permanent resident or you're a naturalized Canadian citizen, sure, you're in here paying your taxes, you're actually trying to assimilate to Canada. But you have all these temporary permits being issued, work visas, temporary foreign worker visas, you name it, and they come here with the sole intention of giving birth so that they can have that tedder baby. And then eventually that leads to them being sponsored and brought to Canada.
That system is definitely being exploited for sure. And the main concern about that is when it's with people who you do not know if they share the same allegiance to your country that we do. Even we were talking about my family coming here from another country. We are loyal to this country.
Yeah.
We came here with nothing. We integrated with society over time. It wasn't a given. It wasn't a given that we were going to be here. So the people that came here back then, maybe in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, they had a tremendous amount of respect for the culture, the livelihood of the people, the way the society is structured, the way we drive. You know what I mean? Just something as simple as the way we drive caters more towards how people drive here as opposed to the way they would drive in India, where I'm from. And so I think there was a chart we showed last week about
This is such a funny point.
Yeah.
No, because the Indian driver thing reminds me of this, and sorry to interrupt you, but my office used to be right next to the CP Intermodal Terminal in Lachine, next to Dorval, the airport, effectively. And every morning when I drove to work, there were lines of trucks waiting to be loaded up with those sea cans. You know what I mean? Those container ships. And I never really paid attention, but now in hindsight, every single driver was of East Asian origin, Southeast Asian origin, let's put it that way, right? And now we're starting to realize that a lot of them don't even really have valid commercial driver's license, or
not at all.
It's been fraudulently acquired.
And it has horrible consequences in the industry. There was recently 2 cases of innocent people getting killed, and the people and the truck drivers were not legally allowed to operate that
Yeah.
truck.
Mhm.
And this happened twice recently
Yep.
in recent memory. And so these are the devastating consequences that these kinds of
What happened
things
recently
could
in
happen.
Ontario, actually, exactly that. A driver from Southeast Asia caused a collision. 100% his fault. Turned out that the person was indeed not holding a valid commercial driver's license, and he fled the country, fled the fucking country back to his home country. After he was let out on bail, as usual, we love bail here. So no, it's kind of fucked up, man. It's crazy.
And if these people are not properly documented, there's no way to preserve law. There's no an order. And earlier we were talking about their allegiance
Yes.
to Canada. A lot of these people that protest are actually burning flags. They're burning Canadian flags while protesting, while living in this country, having the right to protest legally in a country where we allow civil discourse. Well, not so much anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Not as much as we used to anyways. A country that allows civil discourse, and these people are burning flags. Do you want to see some of this footage?
Yeah, let's put it.
Yeah.
They actually want to destroy our civilization. They want to ruin Canada. Nobody supports Canada. Every single one of them. They hate Canada. They view Canada the same as they view Israel, some oppressive state. You know, Israel's just the little Satan.
So this is just a random video that popped up on my feed, but they're protesting legally, which, you know, either side as you were, if you're on either side, I have no qualms with you. I'm not involved. But if you're going to protest in Canada, at least show Canada the dignity, at least show the Canadian people around you the dignity to not burn the flag. And a lot of these are probably the immigrants that we have issues with because they don't have allegiance to this country. They're let in with a lot of times fraudulent documents. They're not documented and they don't love this country the way the OG,
The OG
the
did,
OG immigrants do.